Sarvottama, Vaishikottama. Recently, we had a common discussion where we were going through the outcome of lot of research that we did in last few years. So, what was this research all about? The research was all about a small aged group kids. Maybe you can take around up to 12 years age group. So, where both boys and girls, this is a sample of kids whom we took and did a small research on them. And you may be wondering what is the research that we did. The research was to identify why some of the kids by default they are practicing Sandhya Vandana, going to temple, following their parents, and a lot of girls they are applying bindi and they even want to wear the pushpamala, all those things on their head. How did this happen? What did their parents do? And how did these kids outperform in a crowd of other kids who were just trying to copycat the Western culture? Not only that, to our surprise, we also found that these kids even don't eat biscuits that are baked outside. These kids don't pressurize their parents for any Western type of clothes. These kids doesn't even pressurize their parents for doing birthday, cake cutting, and taking them to out of country for the summer holidays and all. So, how did this happen? And that too in this particular century where the kids at the age of like 13, 15, or even 18 or below 18, I would say, are roaming around pubs and bars. And they are forcing their parents for out of country travel during the year end because of their peer pressure. They are asking for digital assets like iPhone, iWatch, and they are also asking for Instagram accounts and many more things. And don't you feel that this research surprises you as well? I hope. Most of the parents even are bothered today. How can they make kids to follow in a very sattvic path? Because sattvic path is not because we have to follow dharma. Sattvic path is not just because we are born in India. Many other countries also practice sattvic paths, but their belief and other systems are different, hence, we don't connect with them. Otherwise, sattvic path is one of the paths which is very least expensive, least racial, means it doesn't have lot of race in it, and it is more effective from the health, wealth, happiness, and also society perspective. In one of the ways parents are thinking about how to bring up their kids in sattvic ways. But many of the parents, in their busy schedule or in being unaware of how to do it, or not even bothered to spend some time to learn, are getting lost in this particular world. And the cost they are paying is horrible next generations. Cost they are paying is horrible society. Cost they are paying is kids at the age of 6, 8, 9, 10 committing suicide. So now let me reveal some of the findings that we had from this particular research. So the research shows that the kids who were imparted with right values, even though parents are not following any dharma, parents are not ritual, parents are not that strict in terms of doing their own adhyatma or sattvic lifestyle, but still they strived in giving right values to their kids at the age of 1 to 5, right? And that is where we call it, right? Lalayet Panchavarshani. So next, the kids were given such a authority or empowerment where they developed self-consciousness and they also developed self-aspirations. Remember, toughest thing as a parent you can do is building self-consciousness, building self-awareness, and then making them to decide on their own what is right and what is wrong. This is the toughest thing for parents. Otherwise, parents can give any amount of money, any amount of gadgets, any amount of dress they can put into any of the schools, whatever thing they can do to just show off. But That is very easy. Even common poor person, by taking all the freebies from the government, also can do all these things. But the toughest thing is, how can you make your kids aspire for something that they want to do good? Is that not a question in front of you? If that is a question in front of you, continue watching. Otherwise, you can stop watching. So, what parents did? First of all, parents gave very right examples, right motivation, and a reference of a remote person whom your kids cannot see. And then I try to understand or research the values out of those remote people. Maybe because of that reason only, earlier people used to tell stories of Bhakta Prahlada, Dhruva Maharaja, and all, because they are very remote. One cannot go and see or feel them and then learn a lot of wrong things from them than right things. Natural tendency of any human being is to identify flaws in others than identifying good stuffs in them. Same applies to kids as well. Kids will try to identify flaws in the person whom you tell, and then they will try to identify the good stuffs. If Dhruva Maharaja was visible to them, they would have identified 10 flaws and then stick with those 10 flaws and rejected him as an example. But now we give those examples and then kids get values from them and try to learn or research values on their own. This is first thing. Second thing is aspiring. You are accepting kids to do mistake. You are accepting kids to like fail in certain areas, and you are accepting that scoring marks not the aim of life. School is only not the aim of life. The overall growth of the kid is the life. And based on this, kid has a lot of opportunity to experiment, a lot of good stuffs around, and then try to aspire to be good. So if you don't do this, and if you are not spending good amount of time with your kids, kids won't aspire it. Many of the parents do a mistake of talking very negative, ridiculating others, or talking negatives of other people. And these are the values kids will acquire quickly and try to reject everything that is happening as a good outside. Even though you reference someone who is really doing good in the society, your kids will easily reject, saying that, hey, what is the big thing he's doing? Why I should learn from him? Because this is the rejection mindset. And third most important thing that parents did is isolation. Isolation is one of the biggest lesson that we learned in COVID. If you are isolated very well, you can avoid the infection. Not by just wearing the mask, but be isolated with people. At till certain age, kids have to be isolated from unwanted world. Today, parents themselves go and ask or put a pressure on schools to run a cultural event. And what is a cultural event people want? As a parents, they want their kids to be doing a fashion show, a ramp dance with the girls, or wear western dress and then dance for a song which is very odd song or item song in the movies. If you as a parents are aspiring for these things and your kids are not isolated from such environments, obviously kids will grow in that environment itself. So third important thing that we identified, that these kids were isolated for some time to really be with good stuffs and then understand that they can live, they can sustain, they can be successful, and they can be happy and contented with good stuff that are around them, not to spoil them and then enjoy, right? This is the important thing that they have to. If you look at the study in Gurukula, if you look at study outside in any of the convent school, what is the difference? In Gurukula, kids will not even spoil a single tree or a plant because they feel it as a nature and they feel it as a god in the nature. But the same convent school kids, they can cut the tree, they can break the tree and then play with that because for them, it's one of the tree planted by the school for which they are paying fees. When they pay fee, they have all authority to do anything in that school. So, thus, the most important or single word I would say is the grit, GRIT word. You can search in Google. The grit is something that is incorporated in these kids, because of which they are becoming dharmic, because of which they are sustaining to be dharmic, even though hundreds of negative actions act upon them. Remember and make this successful in your home as well, and especially if you are newly married, especially if you have kids who are of age 1, 2, 3, 4 years. You can definitely achieve this. And this is brought in as a seva from Madhva consciousness. We want to have the whole world adopt Madhva tattvas for betterment of the society. Naham karta hari karta. Sri Krishna arpanamastu.